Property management, new lot type, closeness, drama, secrets, eavesdropping, snooping, breaking in, new world Tomarang, night market, botanical garden, animal sanctuary. These are some of the new features coming with the new The Sims 4 for Rent pack, but as usual, there are some very skeptical voices in the community. Today we'll take a very critical look at whether The Sims 4 for Rent has a potential to be an actual good pack. And some questions that we will cover include: is this a City Living 2.0? Shouldn't this be a hotel pack? Shouldn't renting be base game? Is it worth an expansion pack? And some more. If you are excited about the new pack, I have tons of content planned and will even stream it here on YouTube. And I would love to see you around, so make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell not to miss any of it. And now, let's get into The Sims 4 for Rent pack. Probably the most frequent critique I hear these days is that this pack is City Living 2.0, that this is a leftover content and should have been included with City Living. And while I see where everyone is coming from, I also kind of see the difference between these two packs. So the question is, could renting have been included with City Living? Well, probably yes, and later in this video I will even talk about why I think it potentially could be included in the base game. But although I love renting in City Living because I feel like it adds so much realism to the game, I think that was not the point of City Living. In my mind, City Living is much more about those high-rise buildings, about apartments, about the big city life, because also when you think about it, no other The Sims 4 world has this look, has this big city look, this high-rise building, anything like that. So for me, the whole point of City Living was more of this city lifestyle, living either in a dirty and noisy, small, moldy, cheap apartment, or on the top of the city at the rooftop with huge, large windows, about going to festivals, doing street art, playing basketball on a street. And if you think about it, this pack doesn't really have that much to do with renting. I know you can actually rent an apartment, but it's more like side, neglectable feature, I would say. And okay, I get it. If you are saying, okay, it would be enough for me to be able to rent my property this way and not have to get a totally new expansion pack for this, I really get it, and we will get to that later in the video. All that I wanted to say is that I personally don't feel like this is City Living 2.0 because of its city appearance and lifestyle as the main point, and I really think it has super little to do with renting. I would nearly argue that it's kind of like saying, why give us seasons pack when we already have snow in Mountain Kamarabi with Snowy Escape kind of situation? Do you get my point? But again, there are some prerequisites, and we will take more critically about that later in the video. The second point is hotels. We were discussing on our Discord how the community was actually asking for a hotel pack. And when I saw the keys in the teaser before the season, I thought it would be hotels, especially with Sims team finally listening to the wishes of the community with generations, aka growing together, and also horses pack. However, we got renting. So is this a problem? Well, renting a property for someone to actually live there long term, or renting it as a hotel, has some things in common and has also some differences. First, what they have in common is that it's either a room, apartment, or maybe a whole property that is being rented out for some period of time. And second, what are the differences? So the first difference would be period of stay. When you are renting your apartment, let's say, to someone to live in real life the period of rent is mostly in months or maybe even years. When you are renting a hotel room, mostly it's in days or in weeks. And the second difference for me would be layout or maybe furnishing of, let's say, an apartment or a room. I would argue that in places where people actually live long term, it's usually maybe more cluttered and it also requires more storage room. And now the question is, are these differences obstacles in order to play with this pack as with the hotel pack? Well, of course, we don't yet have all the information about how renting will work, because at the time when this video is being recorded, we only have the gameplay and reveal trailer available, so the information is a little bit limited. But from what we saw, it seems like you maybe might be able to play with this pack as with a hotel pack. Let me explain. So we had 2 points or 2 main differences between renting some apartment or a room or a whole building as a long-term rental or as a hotel. The first one was the renting period, and it seemed in the gameplay trailer that you might be actually able to adjust the period of rent. As we said, renting out a hotel room would mean something like days or maximally weeks. So can I adjust this value to, let's say, just 1 day or 4 days? But generally, if we assume that you are able to adjust this period to, let's say, 1 or 2 days, you might be able to rent this out as a hotel room. And our second little difference or obstacle to playing with hotels was the layout or furnishing. And why I think this is really not an obstacle is this is really just up to your creativity and customization in build and buy and making it look like a hotel, maybe adding a gym or a restaurant, something like that. So all in all, although we saw that this is presumably based on those trailers, just a long-term rental pack, you can probably just customize your experience in the game and play with it also as in the hotels. For example, I am craving summer and sea and swimming right now. So how I would imagine it is building some property in Sulani that is actually a hotel. It can have, let's say, 6 high-end apartments that can be rented out for, let's say, 3 to 7 days, and acting like I am managing this hotel with people who are coming for vacation. In my mind, one possible problem with this could be if the lease length is more of a billing period rather than time when the lease automatically ends and the tenant actually leaves, and so you have to dramatically evict a tenant to make them leave, like in the trailer, and you really don't want to be forced to do this in a hotel. So this might be one possible hiccup, but I guess we will see firstly when the pack is out. And now let's talk about point number 3, and that is whether renting shouldn't actually be base game. But before that, if you made it this far into the video, would you mind giving it a little like? It might seem very unimportant to you, but it really helps my channel so much, so thanks to anyone who did. As I said, I think actually being able to be renting in The Sims 4, being a tenant, adds so much realism. In real life, most of young people are renting. Obviously, they can't afford to buy a property yet when they leave their parents' house. And I know, of course, renting is not limited to young people. It's just that most of my friends are in my age category, so it comes to my mind first. And that's why I really wish it was part of the base game, at least partially, and not only with apartments, but also with houses. Renting an actual whole house is very realistic for some families that have to move a lot because of the job of parents. And also some of my friends sometimes group up during the winter and go to some warm country, rent a house there and work remotely from there for 1 or 2 months. So I definitely think that being a tenant in this like really simple city living kind of style should be base game. But I feel like right now the question is much more, do I think the whole property management is coming in The Sims 4 for rent should be base game? And I think the answer is we will firstly know when we play with it. Most definitely, people have been building rental houses in The Sims 4 ever since its release in 2014, so this is definitely not something that is limited just to this expansion pack. And the only thing that they are missing is the possibility to actually rent them out. So I think the question about whether renting and property management should be base game really heavily depends on how complex and fun this system is going to be. In the trailers, we saw that we are going to be able to assign room and create rental units, manage rent price, lease length, house rules, choose tenants, manage them, evict them, get rent money, fix the problems in the property. But I still don't know whether for me personally this is enough for it to be a main feature of an actual expansion pack. Although there are some other features included in property management to make it a little bit more fun, some closeness, drama, connections between the tenants, but I still don't know whether I am fully convinced, and I am not at all trying to say that this property management is going to be bad, not at all. I know already now that I am going to love it fully. My whole point is probably just, is this worth an expansion pack and not, let's say, a game pack? And as I mentioned earlier, why not give us the possibility to at least be just a tenant in both apartments and houses in base game and in this really simple city living kind of style? But we shall see, this also might come as a base game update. And so back to the initial main question, can The Sims 4 for rent actually be a good pack? And I think for me personally the answer is going to be yes, it can be. It adds a new mechanic to the game, a new management system. Of course, this is either something that you do enjoy or you don't. I personally love management management games or any management mechanism in the game, so I think I personally will really love it. And again, the only doubt that I really have with this pack is whether it's worth an expansion pack and not, for example, a game pack, but I guess this is something that we will see the first time we play with it. So those would be some of my initial thoughts about the new The Sims 4 for rent pack, and please remember, at the time of recording this, we are still 3 weeks away from having the pack, and we only have the release and gameplay trailer, so those are all the resources that I had, and the information about how the pack and gameplay will actually look like is just limited to that. Definitely let me know what you are the most excited about in the comments. Are you the most excited about being a tenant, about being a landlord, about building multi-generational houses, hotels, or maybe college dorms, anything? I love to read your comments. I don't reply all the time because of the time reasons, but I really do love reading them, and I do it very often. Thank you very much for watching this video till the end, and I will see you again very soon with some more for rent content. Bye bye!